LSU fans can say they knew it all along, but that loud whooshing sound coming out of Baton Rouge was a collective exhale as the Tigers appear to have found their quarterback for 2026 and Arizona State's Sam Leavitt. Now, what does this mean? How does Leavitt stack up to recent Tigers quarterbacks? We're going to tell you all that. Meanwhile, the Saints take the back burner for the first time in a while, but in case you missed it, we will let you in on a special honor for one wide receiver that some Saints fans love to hate, or maybe it's some wide receiver one that some Saints fans love to hate. And of course, we will spend a good chunk of today talking about the wild and wacky first weekend of the NFL playoffs, which isn't even over yet. What are our picks for tonight's game? So much to get to and so little time. In other words, Terry, it's time to shut up and start the Dattitude Podcast.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? Woo, baby, woo. Last night I saw the signing of Elon quarterback Landen Clark, and I said to myself and others, you better do better than that. And this morning they did. And we have great news for Tigers fans here on Dattitude, episode number 462, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Monday, January the 12th, 2026. Who is this guy? I'm your host, Jim Derry, 35 plus years in the New Orleans sports media scene. I thank you all for being a part of the Dattitude family. And say it with me, everybody. Breaking news this morning. Sam Leavitt, former quarterback at Arizona State, is headed to Baton Rouge, where Lane Kiffin has his marquee quarterback. Look, there have been some big signings. I know, wide receiver, 5-star with this one, 4-star that one. Whoop-de-doo. Doesn't matter if you don't have a quarterback, and the LSU Fighting Tigers have a quarterback for the 2026 season. It is redshirt sophomore quarterback Sam Leavitt. And we'll tell you about his numbers in a little bit. We'll get to all that. We're going to get to the Dattitude family, the comments, because it's still Mono Monday. No matter what kind of breaking news you have, no matter what's going on planet Earth, it's always Mono Monday here on Dattitude. And that's what we have this morning. That is what's special about our show. If you are new here and you just stumbled across us and you're like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Who is he? What's going on with this show? What is special about this show is that you talk to us and we talk back to you. So we invite you to type in your comments. If you know, type them in. Whether you watch it on YouTube, whether you watch it on Facebook, it doesn't make a difference. We're here live. It's almost always Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m. Central Time. Sometimes we change it up, kind of depending on what's going on. We're back to Monday, Wednesday, Friday this week. If you are listening after the fact on any of the major podcast platforms, which we were on, or, you know, you missed some of the show and you went back and you said, you know what, I'm going to go back and watch the whole thing on YouTube later. You could do that, and you can get in touch with me on X at Jim Derry Jr. or via email, jim@jimderry.com. Again, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our Dattitude YouTube page. We have fun like this 3 times a week, sometimes more when there's a lot going on. Like today, there's a lot going on. I already made a slide. In fact, some of you may have seen it because it was out there. I had thrown it out there thinking, okay, we're going to be spending time talking about Landen Clark. I'm thinking, okay, the main topic of conversation today is going to be the wild and wacky NFL wildcard weekend. And that all changed about 10:15. So less than an hour ago, we got the breaking news that Pete Thamel from ESPN is reporting that Leavitt is going to LSU. We're going to give you some numbers. Gabe's working them up right now. Gabe will be on the show in a little bit, but we're going to take your comments, all that. Before we get started, it is a big day in the city of New Orleans as well. Look, we don't do politics here, but we do offer well wishes, and we've got the turning of a page and a huge turning in the page of the city of New Orleans. I'm not asking you to comment on that. You don't have to comment, but we absolutely send prayers and well wishes to the 63rd mayor of the city of New Orleans, Helena Moreno, former member of my business, a former journalist, news anchor at WDSU, turned into politics about, I want to say it happened, I think she left DSU in the late 2000s, maybe 16, 18 years ago, somewhere around there. Oh, no, not that long ago. Huh? Yeah, 16, somewhere around there. Somewhere 2008-ish, 2007, somewhere around there. And she's now the 63rd mayor of the city of New Orleans. Congratulations to Helena Moreno, and we wish her nothing but the best. And again, big day in the city, and I thought it would be an injustice if we didn't at least say that. Again, we don't do politics. I'm not even asking for your comments unless you just say, well wishes to Helena Moreno. Great, do that. But we could say that here. All right. What are we going to start out with this morning? You know what? Let's go. Before I get to my friends, I want to get to the comment stream because I think it's important that we say a few things. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to even change my slide here. We're going to just jump in. I'm assuming most of the comments are going to be about Sam Leavitt, so I'm just going to put that slide up this morning. We will talk Saints. We are going to talk Saints. I'm going to tell you right now, if you didn't see it over the weekend, big time award for a certain wide receiver that some of y'all wish would fly the coop. And if y'all don't like it, you might not like it. I don't know. We'll see. Christopher Crump's here. Who dat for life? Can't wait. He's already fired up about the 2026 Saints. It's a lot to be fired up this morning, right? Everything is kind of turning positive. What a great start to the year so far, right? So far, it's been excellent. It's been a great year. Rock's here. We got Leavitt and his backup depth, Landen Clark, again this morning. I'm telling you, when I saw it last night, Gabe was trying to talk me off the ledge last night. But when I saw that that LSU had signed Elon quarterback Landen Clark. And again, that's what we're going to go into the show. We're going to, and I will tell you some of his numbers. And look, his numbers are fine. They're okay. They're fine. He looks like, I'm like, that better be the backup. And he is the backup. So, and he's a good one. He's a great back. He's fine for a backup. But we'll talk. Maybe he's the potential. Maybe Leavitt's a one and done. Good chance Leavitt's a one and done, right? He's a redshirt sophomore, which means that he's eligible for the draft after this year. And that usually means if he's all that, he's going to be a one and done. And so if he's a one and done, maybe Landen Clark comes in and takes the backup role and runs with it in 2027. We'll see. I don't know. I'm going to get to all that in just a moment. Just type him in, Gabe. Just type him in. Gabe's going to come on a little bit earlier than usual, but we got a lot. I want to get to the comments. I want to get to some other things this morning. UBN is here. Good morning, UBN. You smell that? Yeah. Y'all smell that? It's kind of a combination of burning, and I'm going to be polite here, especially because I know we got some new people probably watching us on X this morning. It's kind of a combination of burning and landfill. If you smell real hard, you can smell it. That is the Pick'em's crew picks from the weekend. Bad, dude. I'm just going to say that right now, I am 1-1 because my third pick is, and I'll tell you, if you didn't see Friday's show and you don't know who I picked, I'm 1-1. I got Miami right, but my other pick was with. I told you Friday when all three of us. It has never happened before Friday. And if you're new, we make our three best bets. Gabe Henderson, UBN, and myself. We make our three best bets of the week on Friday at the end of the show. And all three of us, for the first time in Dattitude history, we all had the same pick. Now, it could be from anything. It's whatever our three best bets are. It's not a set game or whatever. In fact, we hardly ever, during the playoffs, your choices are limited. So we're almost certainly going to have a like pick or even we didn't have any crossfire. In other words, we didn't have any picks that we didn't like, all three of us didn't like, or two of us didn't like, or whatever. We had one pick that two people liked, that one lost. And so when I saw that we all had Green Bay over Chicago, I pretty much guarantee you that was going to be a loser. And maybe you can't say it's the comeback of all time, because obviously the Music City Miracle is, to me, the greatest comeback in at least playoff history. Maybe not in the history of the NFL. I don't know. It's up there. It might be the greatest comeback in the history of the NFL. I don't know. But it's whatever. What Caleb, and I'll give him grief. Obviously, if you watch this show, you know I think the Bears are overrated and whatever, and I'm not taking anything. Yeah, I still say they're the luckiest team in the. Name me a team that's luckier than the Bears in the history of the NFL. But you know what? Doesn't take, even if you are lucky, even if you are that lucky, and again, we're going to get to the NFL playoffs later. If you're that lucky, you still have to be damn good. So Caleb Williams sucked for 3 quarters, or pretty close to 3 quarters, and then he turned it on, and he was absolutely phenomenal in the 4th quarter. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, it burned our picks, and so you get a collective 0-3 from one game that doesn't help your picks record. And we took it on the chin. We'll see what happens tonight. I'm the only one with a victory at the moment, and that it will stay that way regardless of whether I win tonight or not. So we'll get to that later on in the show. That's going to be last. Gary, good morning. Beautiful crisp day in North Baton Rouge. You better believe it. You better believe it. Charles Mangus is here. Good morning. Great playoff games, except Pats Bolts. I enjoyed it. I had the under. Look, sometimes with a 2-7 game, you get what you get, and you didn't get that on Saturday night with the 2-7 game, but you got it last night. He's glad the Jags are going home. Why? I'm sick of the Bills, dude. Boring. Sick of them. I'm just sick of Josh Allen. That's a whole different story. Although you can't take anything away from them either. Barry Ulay, good morning. Patriots got him back even for the weekend. Yeah, if you took the Patriots, even though it wasn't a sure thing until the 4th quarter, because 6-3 and then 9-3. I mean, did anyone really think the Bolts were going to do anything? I mean, you felt pretty good. If you had the Patriots, I'd say from about the last part of the 1st quarter through the end of the game, you felt pretty good. And then in the 4th quarter, you felt really good. They couldn't score. I mean, what color is the skin of Justin Herbert this morning? It's got to be like a rainbow color. He got his ass whooped. Jerry's here. Good morning, Who Dat Nation. We got some fleur-de-lis in the chat. We got Lance is here. Who Dat, baby? San Luis. I'm sorry. I think I'm supposed to say I'm used to saying San Luis. He corrected me there. I think it's San Luis Obispo. Who Dat is here. Good morning. Enjoyed the weekend games, except I mean, again, if you had the under or if you had the Patriots, you enjoyed it. Otherwise, you probably didn't. Nice to see Morstead is still kicking around. He absolutely is. And he is moving on to the next round. Thomas Morstead with the 49ers. And that was, that probably was my favorite. Was that my favorite game? I guess it was if I was completely didn't care and not invested in anything, like I didn't bet on anything, I would probably say Bears-Packers were my favorite. But considering I was invested, I had the San Francisco money line and the San Francisco spread. So I probably would say that Niners-Eagles was my favorite of the weekend. And Thomas Morstead's moving on. By the way, Charles says today was his mom's birthday. Heavenly birthday. She would have been 98. Well, my mom's heavenly birthday is coming up in 2 weeks. So I hear you. Mark Gapsky, good morning. Love the Levitt signing. Patriots saved this weekend. Sound like Patriots saved a lot of weekend. Shane Bergeron, my friend Shane is here. Good Monday. Lane Kiffin putting a stamp on the team. He absolutely is. No question about it. No question about it. What else we got here before we get to the? Did I? Oh no, I didn't say the DC name, Lance. I think that was UBN that did that. Don't get mad at me. I didn't say it. Kyle Sherman is here. Good morning. Dattitude, go Tigers. Absolutely. Dylan is fired up about them Tigers and Sam Leavitt. You see him on the screen. He also says, can't believe the Panthers told y'all. I'm kind of aggravated with myself. I didn't have the Panthers in my best bets. I thought about it. Williams fired up about Leavitt and Clark. Both good prospects. Again, maybe Clark is the quarterback for 2027. We'll see. I mean, the good news is if that's what he is, he gets a full season of time here on the roster. And you know as well as I do, good chance that a backup quarterback at LSU is going to get time to play. Jody Alexander is here. Good morning. It's a good day in the Bayou State. It really is. You know, there's a lot. Just think about how the year has started. If you're a sports fan here in Southeast Louisiana and really all over Louisiana, if you're a Saints fan, if you're an LSU fan, even if you're a Tulane fan, the future is bright. If you're a Pelicans fan, that's something else. They choked again last night. Did you see it? Judging by the attendance, you haven't. Led by double digits in the fourth quarter at Orlando and lost. Oh, my goodness. Trish is here. Good morning. How are you this morning? Good to see you. Bart Prudhomme is here. Bills, Niners in the Super Bowl, and the Bills finally. You're already making. Well, we got some odds for you. If you want to bet it, we'll tell you what your odds would be if you decide to go that route. Obviously, we're all going to have to revamp our Super Bowl predictions. Mark Gapsky, Kayshon Boutte did have a great game. 4 catches, 66 yards, made some big catches. Drake May looked so. I thought Drake May looked great. Gabe's doing this. I thought he looked really good. Did you see that he gave his former college teammate, Amari Hampton, a hug after the game? And he tried to hug Herbert, but when he touched Herbert went, "Oh, that hurts." Just kidding. Herbert got his ass whooped. That dude just got his ass whooped. Ass whooped. Lance, you giving DA props today? DA did a great job getting his defense adjusted and ready for the second half. Felt like deja vu. I'm trying not to be. It's hard. I got to be honest, okay? Because I'm just going to tell you, I just flat out don't like the Bears. Okay, I just don't. I think a lot of it's because of DA. I don't know what it is, and one of my best friends is a huge Bears fan, and it is what it is. I don't like the Bears. I try not to let it bias my opinion, but sometimes it does. I think Caleb Williams is overrated, and for 3 quarters he showed you. To me, you can't be successful long term if you. Look, you can have the greatest quarterback in the history of football, and it allowed you to beat the 7th seed and the Packers and a team that you know. I just think it's going to catch up to them, and I don't think in the long run that this. I could be wrong in 4 weeks, or a little less than 4 weeks. The Bears could win. Am I saying the Bears are going to win the Super Bowl? No, but they could. I don't think there's a single team left in these playoffs right now. Not a single team left in the playoffs except the Steelers that can't win the Super Bowl right now. Honestly, I'm being dead serious. I don't like the Broncos. There are a couple teams that I'll tell you it's way longer shots than their actual odds. But other than the Steelers, I just don't think that there's a team in the playoffs that can't win the Super Bowl. That's how good these playoffs are going to be. So I say that with the caveat. And when you say that, Lance, I don't know that DA did that great of a job. I'm going to be honest. And I've been a LaFleur fan for a long time. And LaFleur to me looked like the 28-3 Falcons. Almost sort of a thing where Gabe says, I can't actually believe the Seahawks can win it with Darnold. But that defense, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll get to that. I don't want to go too far in the weeds, especially when we got the Sam Leavitt slide up here and we want to talk about him this morning. I'm just going to say, I don't want to be a Derry Downer when it comes to DA because, again, I don't want to be biased, but his defense sucked. And they proved that if they don't get turnovers, they are super vulnerable. They are not that great. And so I think the Packers, I just had them overrated. And LaFleur, to me, did one of his worst jobs. I I have been a big LaFleur fan. I have been a big LaFleur fan, and I don't think he did a very good job this year. So we'll see this week. The Bears will get the Rams. The Bears are underdogs at home again. They were underdogs. They were slight underdogs this past weekend. They are underdogs again at home. When has a team been at home 2 weeks in a row in the playoffs been underdogs? Gabe, is there a way to look that up? If there is, let me know if you could. I mean, I don't know if there's a way to look it up or not. Not on short notice. If we don't find it, I'll give it to you on. We'll talk about it on Wednesday. But when's the last time that a team was an underdog in the playoffs at home 2 weeks in a row? They're underdogs. The Bears are 3.5-point underdogs. 3.5-point underdogs to the Rams this week. Who do you like? I didn't like the way the Rams played this week. Anyway, we'll get to that in the NFL section. Trish wants to know, can I explain how a college player can announce entering the transfer portal while saying, quote, no contact if they haven't talked to prospective teams already? The same way that NFL free agents sign 5 seconds after the signing period opens. You, me, and everybody else's grandma know that they're talking. And not only that, I mean, it's clear that Lane Kiffin went out there anyway. I mean, they were talking. I don't know when the when was the no contact? Gabe, you can hold that thought. We'll come back to this question. I'm gonna put that thought in the queue. So we'll talk about it. But I don't know when. Trish, the short version is this: there basically are no real rules. I mean, there's no real rules. It's a free for all. It is. Brandon Daigle, let's go. Can't wait till draft time. How about them Crimson? How about them Tide? How about them Crimson Tide, Brandon? Just throwing that out there. Bart says if the Bills and Niners make it to the Super Bowl, we have former Saints players in the big game. Probably more than just Bills and Niners, right? I mean, I'd have to go through, but I would imagine almost. I mean, I don't know this off the top of my head, but I would imagine most teams have former Saints on them somewhere, right? Yeah, UBN, you bring this up. Niner just wanted it more. I got a text over the weekend from a member of the Dat family. You know who you are. I love this. It's my favorite. I told you the Bills were hungry. I told you. First of all, I love you all, Dattitude family, but don't ever DM me, text me, put a message in your chat with, if it starts with I told you, I'm immediately going to want to hit my phone, my computer screen. I told you is not, I hate I told you. Okay. I told you is never, because whenever you say I told you, I guess I don't have as much of a problem with I told you if before when you were wrong, I was wrong about, and you said I was wrong about such and such. Don't tell me I told you, because when you're wrong, I never hear I told you that the Packers were going to win, but I was wrong. No. And then the second part of it is I told you the Bills were hungry. Well, I'm hungry right now. Gabe's hungry. He forgot to eat breakfast. UBN's hungry, but everybody's hungry. The Packers were hungry. They didn't win. The Jags were hungry. They didn't win. The Chargers were hungry to win. That is one of the top 5 dumbest phrases in sports. So-and-so was hungry. Everybody's hungry. That has nothing to do with anything. Now, I feel a little bit better. My friend Logan's here. He's still a Pels fan since 2002. He's married to them, basically. I mean, I think we all are. I did not make a Pels slide this morning. Sorry. Too much going on. Escali is here. Good morning. See, like Lance puts the cursing face up, cursing emoji up when we talk about Derek Carr. Jerry basically does the same when we bring up DA. Oh, Lord. Logan says Jaden Daniels is better than Caleb Williams. Absolutely. That's definitely true. Robert Campbell says, go Tigers. Kyle also says Chargers O-line is more challenging. The Chargers O-line was horrendous. It makes you wonder, like, I mean, I know they've had injuries. One, Joe Alt got hurt in, I don't know, week 8 or something like that. But, man, they're awful. Daryl Hayden, good morning. Apathy says Kyle Shanahan should win Coach of the Year. Dude is rolling out Winn-Dixie employees due to injuries and still winning. I mean, you got Purdy. You got Juwan Jennings. You got Christian McCaffrey. I don't think I'm going to go that far. Their defense obviously is got 2 major injuries. Ryan, exactly. It's the playoffs. They should all be hungry. They are all. Nobody goes to the playoffs and I'm full. Nah, I'm full. I don't need to eat in the playoffs. I'm just going to go home. Let's just go make our trip. I don't know. Let's host the Bills, but I would really want the rest of the year off. I'm going to go. The Eagles did. They kind of did. You got a point. One Smoke says, Miami against the world. He's going to take the +7.5 and go with his few. Yeah, you know what? Talking about the Hurricanes. We'll talk more about the college football playoffs later in the week. Doug Mouton is going to be on the show on Wednesday. I know y'all were asking for Doug. You got him. He's going to come on the show Wednesday. But, you know, for those of you who didn't hear me say it, or those of you who heard me say it, I'm going to say it again. I bought a $2 ticket on the Miami Hurricanes to win the college football playoffs. And I bought it like right after they lost whatever the second game they lost. I can't remember which one it was now. That it looked like they were done with the playoffs. I'm like, and I saw they were 60-1. I'm like, I still think they can make the playoffs at 60-1. If they get in, I kind of like Miami maybe to make a run. So I had a ticket on Miami, Ole Miss, and Texas Tech. Those are the 3 teams I had value on. I thought there was value on. And so now Miami's in the championship game. And I thought I was going to be able to hedge, but Indiana's ass whipping of Oregon the other night ruined it because now they're like -3 something on the money line. And you can't hedge that. You can, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to put $10 or $30 to win 10 or $60 to win 20. I'd rather just take a chance with my $2 ticket that pays $122 to win. Charles Mangus says Indiana is going to win it all. We'll get to that later. I mean, I think actually Miami has a decent shot, but I'm not gonna hedge. It doesn't make any sense to hedge. Yep, UBN Niners just wanted it more than the Eagles. Yeah, okay. And I know you're being facetious. Shane says, they have to respect to the 49ers dealing with so many injuries, but Philadelphia certainly has missed Kellen Moore. Can't say they don't. One Smoke says he would hedge, but he can't, so he's going to double down on Miami. I just don't think I don't think there's a way to hedge, not value wise. We always talk about value plays here. Can't do it. All right, we're going to switch our attention fully to LSU now. So we're going to talk Saints later in the show. We're going to talk NFL playoffs later in the show, but I want to switch our attention solely to Sam Leavitt to LSU. I'm actually probably going to bring Gabe on in just a minute, but first off, let me tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. Of course, they're a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run business or privately held business for that matter. Just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. If that's you, if it's someone you know, someone you love, someone you're like, you know what? This person has kind of pissed me off through the years, but they really need my help, and I'm in the giving mood because LSU got that quarterback and everything's looking up with the Saints. I'm going to help them out. I'm going to have him reach out to Evangeline's founding partner, Nick Braden. That's right. He'll start by scheduling a complimentary valuation from his office, either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. And from there, you'll be well informed. Begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. What happens after that? Come on, man. If you talk about the rest of your life, you can hang on for 45 minutes or so before we tell you about the rest of your life. We'll fill you in more later. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.Evangeline Securities. And speaking of checking things out, how about you check out my friend Joe DiStefano? If you own a small business of fewer than 20 employees, you know how tough it is to get the best rates on health insurance. That's why you want to call Joe DiStefano Insurance. Joe and I have known each other for almost 40 years. I can tell you that he's someone that I trust. Look, health insurance shouldn't be one size fits all. And with Joe DiStefano, you get access to PPO networks and flexible plans designed to fit you, not just a cookie cutter mold. Joe's licensed, he's local, but he can help you no matter where you live and operate. From preventative care to peace of mind, we'll tailor a plan that works for your life today and tomorrow. Call Joe DiStefano at 504-234-2132 to protect what matters most. All right, let's get on with the show here and switch our attention as we were talking about. And if you want to talk about Sam Leavitt, now is the time to get in there, talk about anything LSU. We are getting into the breaking news. In case you've been living under a rock over the past hour, or I don't know, maybe you were out and about and you didn't see the news, you don't have alerts on your phone, whatever it is. The LSU Tigers, according to multiple reports now, including Matt Moscona, is reporting that Sam Leavitt is going to head to LSU. I still have trouble saying signing. So-and-so is going to sign with LSU because, signing with a college used to mean something different even like a few years ago. Now it means something completely different. Yeah, no one's reporting the money yet, are they? I didn't think so. If you see that, Gabe's going to come on in about five minutes, by the way. Let's see. I want to get into, this is how I'm going to start this segment. Again, if you have something to say, feel free to type it in, whether you watch it on YouTube or Facebook. We'll talk about it here this morning. Sam Leavitt, 6'2", 205, redshirt sophomore. In other words, he is eligible to go to the NFL draft after this year. And one would look, if he doesn't go to the NFL draft, it means he probably didn't have the season that you would have hoped for. So in the grand scheme of things, you kind of hope he's one and done at LSU, because if he's one and done, it means he probably had a good year, or you hope he did. According to ESPN had him ranked the number 2 player in the portal. Okay. He was the Big 12 Offensive Freshman Player of the year before last. Now, he only played 7 games this past season because of a foot injury. Ended up getting shut down. But in his basically 1.5 seasons at Arizona State, he passed for 4,652 yards. He rushed for 816 yards, and he had 46 total touchdowns. Now, how do those numbers, again, that's a season and a half, okay? So let's just say you put those seasons together, it's about, 2,800 to 3,000 yards in a season passing, which is about in the neighborhood of Mendoza, right? 816 yards passing over a season and a half, a little more than a season and a half. That's the equivalent of about 500 some odd yards rushing. It's about half of what Jaden Daniels had in his senior year. 46 total touchdowns passing and rushing. So say 30-ish a year. Maybe a little less than that. Gabe has put together some numbers for me. How does that compare to what LSU did this past season? Well, it's pretty close, honestly. It may surprise you. The 2 quarterbacks combined, okay? The 2 quarterbacks combined for LSU, Van Buren and Garrett Nussmeier, obviously. 288 for 439. That's a 65.6 passing completion rate. So it's just shy of 3,000 passing yards with 20 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. But the rushing, this is where the big difference comes in. Only 72 rushing yards for LSU quarterbacks all year long. That's the big difference. So you're talking about a guy in Leavitt, in my opinion. While I don't know that he matches Jaden Daniels, I mean, that's hard to do. You're talking about a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback who's the second pick of the draft, who probably should have been, in hindsight, the first pick of the draft, in my opinion. So if he even comes close to Jaden Daniels with what LSU has coming on, you have to think that this is clearly a playoff contender when you get a quarterback like this. Again, Leavitt, and just last year, again, this is just in 7 games. Okay, his completion percentage, not fantastic, just shy of 61%. but he passed for 1,628 yards, had 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 306 rushing yards in 7 games with 5 rushing touchdowns. Okay. The year before that, again, offensive freshman of the year, his completion percentage was 61.7, just shy of 3,000 yards in his freshman year. Now, that was a redshirt freshman year because he played a little bit at Michigan State. He threw 23 passes in 2023 at Michigan State. But in his freshman year, 24 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Those are some really solid numbers. Solid numbers. And Gabe points out that, you know, he said, and again, Gabe's come on and talk about it in a minute, but he threw some darts. If you go back and look at the highlights, I mean, it shows you why this kid, to me, could potentially be one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in college football next year. If he's not going into he might be that already. It'll be interesting. UBN, yeah, Arizona State to LSU has worked before. It sure has. It's talking about Jaden Daniels. I mean, you talking about Jaden Daniels. Man. Apathy says, looks like Lane Kiffin's last-ditch effort to Knoxville on Friday night paid off. You think? And I got to be honest. Look, you talk about nervousness. Like, oh, Nelly, nervous. I was nervous. Again, when I saw the Landen Clark sign, I was like, uh-oh. Because when you see that, after all that LSU's been through, I don't know about you. And again, nothing against Landen Clark. I'll talk about his numbers real quick before Gabe comes on. But when I see this, I'm like, they signed a quarterback from Elon. Is this dude some stud I don't know about? Well, I went and looked at his numbers. They were okay. Like, who's the toughest opponent he played all year? Clearly, it was Duke. He got his ass whooped, and he only threw for like 100 yards. Now, that was in August, so. But still, Landen Clark, again, potentially, maybe, is he the quarterback for 2027? He seems to be a fine backup. He's only 6 feet tall, 183 pounds. He threw at Elon last year. He only completed 56% of his passes. He did throw for 2,321 yards. And he set an Elon record with 11 rushing touchdowns. He had 614 rushing yards. So sounds like he's a similar quarterback to Leavitt. And I will tell you this, if you go look at it, I will say Landen Clark, they had some highlights on him that I saw. And there was one pass he threw 70 yards on a rope. I'm talking about 70 yards in the air, not 50 yards and the kid ran 20 more yards. No, 70 yards on a rope. That kid's got it on. So maybe Lane Kiffin turns him into something. He was the 2-time Region Player of the Year in high school in Virginia at Radford High in Virginia. He led his team to a 15-0 record, first state title in 51 years, threw for 4,300 yards in his senior year and had 71 total touchdowns his senior year in high school. So again, fine backup. But when they announced that they were signing Landen Clark last night, I'm like, oh no. And I'm thinking that, okay, they're out on Leavitt. And is that going to be who this team goes into? I don't know, man. One Smokey hopes that Leavitt is 100% healthy. It's not, he doesn't know he's not going to be ready for spring. He has toe issues, but he's an experienced quarterback, so I don't think it's a big problem. Again, so you get Landen Clark for insurance, for backup. And again, maybe your 2027 quarterback. All right, let's bring in Gabe here, and we're going to go back. Feel free to comment as we go along, because we're still going to, and I'm going to take Sam Leavitt off the screen here so it's not covering up my face when I bring Gabe in. Good morning, Mr. Henderson. How are you this morning?
Good morning. Doing good. How are you?
Fired up about them Texans tonight?
Yep. You'll see that later.
I'm sure we will. All right. Let's talk a little bit about Sam Leavitt. I'm going to be completely transparent. I am way more of an NFL guy than I am a college football guy. Don't get me wrong. I do watch. I am more of a casual watcher of college football on Saturdays. On Sundays, I think there were 2 games, and I'm not exaggerating. There were either 2 or 3 games. All 278 games thus far, and they played in the NFL. I think there were 3 that I didn't see at least 6 to 10 plays live, and that's no BS. So I'm much more of an NFL guy. However, so that's why I bring you on to talk about Sam Leavitt. What do you see from Sam Leavitt in his days at Arizona State over the past 2 years that leads you to believe that this is not only, obviously the guy that LSU fans wanted, but why should LSU fans be fired up because this guy's coming to LSU?
I would describe him using one word, and you don't have to look any further than the game they played against Texas in the playoff last season. Gamer. Mm-hmm. This dude is tough. And I mean, you saw what he did last year. Was his first full season as a starter. You said he got some playing time at Michigan State. He did, but then he kind of took over the reins for Kenny Dillingham and really helped revitalize that program alongside Cam Scatterbo. And a lot of the attention was on Scatterbo, but Sam Leavitt, if you watched any of those games, you came away really impressed by him.
Right. I know. I think that's absolutely true. And you were hoping that he could follow up in his sophomore season with what he did in his freshman, but that nagging toe injury finally shut it down. And you got to think they shut it down because Arizona State wasn't going anywhere, and probably could have held off a little bit longer if he wanted to, but why do it when you're talking? I mean, college football is a little bit different today. When you're a redshirt sophomore, you pretty much knew he was going to the portal, and that was probably the right decision for him.
And I mean, it like we said, his numbers didn't exactly jump off the page.
Yeah.
But if you look at what he did this season, even in 7 games, he's the only team to beat Texas Tech before Oregon did it in the playoff. He threw for over 300 yards in that game. So against a very good Tech defense.
And if you look, and I got some of his game logs up in that Texas Tech game, although he was only 60% passing completion, he was 28 of 47 for 319, as you said, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. And in that game, he only rushed for 3 yards. But in the opening 3 games of the year, he rushed for 59 yards against Texas Tech, 62 yards against Baylor, 62 yards and a touchdown against TCU. So, obviously he can do it with both his feet and his arm. And that's one thing that LSU obviously, I know you didn't think as highly of Garrett Nussmeier as I did, but I think there's no question the last 2 years, and in the day and age of football today, you have to have a quarterback that can move around, and that's what's been missing for LSU, and I think they'll be able to do that now.
Well, here's the thing that always annoyed me with Garrett Nussmeier. He could move. He was sneaky quick, but he just never tucked the ball and ran. He always tried to force the ball downfield, and it was that mental block, I guess you could call it. I don't know what it is in him. He's a gamer, just like Sam Leavitt, but he would always try and make the big play. And sometimes you just need someone like Leavitt to do the little things right.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and so again, I just think that Leavitt brings a dynamic. Now, I don't know if Leavitt overall is going to be as good of a passer as Nussmeier was, but I'll give up some of that to be able to have
over less.
I'll just say I'll give up a little bit of that to be able to move on and say, look, you got a guy that can come in here and a guy that rushed for, what's the total again? Let me look at this real quick. He rushed for 816. He's got 816 rushing yards in less than 20 games. So, I mean, you're talking about a guy that's averaging over 40 yards rushing a game, 46 total touchdowns. So you're talking about averaging 2.5 touchdowns or so per game, passing / rushing. I mean, this obviously to an offensively challenged team that LSU had this past year, that's obviously important.
And I think it's important, just going back a little bit to your comment about having to have a quarterback who can scramble. LSU this season is in a similar position as last year. You are rebuilding an entire offensive line.
Right.
And unless you're a team like this is why guys like Ty Simpson can afford to be pocket passers, because if you look at Alabama, it's got Caden Proctor and multiple other NFL prospects on that offensive line. LSU doesn't have that luxury. So you're going to have guys who can get outside. You can roll them out. And I think Sam Leavitt's absolutely that guy. And I think Lane Kiffin and his staff are going to do everything possible to put this guy in a position to succeed.
One Smoke says that he hopes the injury doesn't make Leavitt hesitant to run. It's not going to. Yeah, I mean, look, and It's not going to do that. I mean, it's not going to. First of all, that's Lane Kiffin is a completely different offensive-minded coach. He has to have a quarterback that is going to want to move around like that, which is why he's bringing Leavitt in. And you heard Gabe say he's a gamer. Well, guess what? Gamers don't they're not hesitant to run. Okay, they're not hesitant to run. Adam Varner says hello. He's going to watch later when he can. Leavitt seems like a solid choice. Also thinks that the Hoosiers will win the Natty. We'll get to that. Larry Bro has kind of a double-edged question that kind of goes with what we're talking about here, and kind of goes more with the Saints. And we're going to talk Saints.
Don't even entertain the second half.
What do I think about Olave's closing comments about the rat? He was very kind, by the rat, if you haven't seen it, by the way. Do I think about Spencer Rattler's trade value would be, does a Rattler trade open the door for the Saints picking Garrett Nussmeier? The Saints are not picking a quarterback. 100%.
Nor are they trading Spencer Rattler.
Yeah. So Larry, the answer is the first part of your question, what I think about Olave's comments about Rattler, it's basically the same thing we've been talking about the show. I think that we're all fond of the way that Spencer Rattler has handled himself. I think he's been outstanding in multiple facets. I think that the Saints are clearly pleased with Spencer Rattler and what he's done thus far, enough for him to be the backup quarterback on this team going forward. And I don't think that the Saints are going to expend any. I mean, you got Rattler on a cheap deal. You don't have to spend any money on him, which is why I said if they're going to bring in a veteran quarterback, they would have done it last year, not this year, not this coming year. So I just don't see them bringing in a veteran quarterback. And I think they're going to roll with the three guys they have, with Hunter Deckers being the third string quarterback and the practice squad quarterback. And I think that Rattler is clearly going to be your backup. And if for no other reason you ask about trade value, I don't think there is any. I think you get nothing for Spencer Rattler at best. The ceiling is a 6th round pick. That's the absolute ceiling for Spencer Rattler. You're not going to get anything for him.
I cannot emphasize how much more important a backup quarterback who is competent and experienced is
correct
than a 6th round pick.
Absolutely. So there's no question about that. Charles wants to know why they play Clemson first. LSU plays Clemson first game of the season because they did a home and home. It happens.
They schedule home and home.
It's the same reason why they played Florida State in back-to-back years a couple years ago. So this time they get to play them in Tiger Stadium. David Nola says if they can get a pick for Rattler, they should do it. They're not going to, and they're not going to trade him. One Smoke says Rams going to get him Nussmeier. We'll see, maybe. Ryan says we're not trading Rattler. We get no better than a 5th, and he's worth more. I mean, yeah, even if I'm wrong, and Ryan, a good point, even if they were to be able to get a 5th, which is what they drafted him with, you're not going to trade a guy who's been in your system for 2 years that you have basically for free, which is what Spencer Rattler is. He's basically free, and he's a fine backup. You're not going to go spend what would you have to spend, Gabe? 5, 6, 7 million on a veteran backup quarterback? Why would you waste 5 or 6 or 7 million when you have two quarterbacks that combined are making like $2 million a year next year or $3 million a year? I mean, you're just not going to do it. So anyway, back to Leavitt here. Talk a little bit about now. I went through and you and I had a discussion about where this class ranks, the portal class ranks so far, and it's all over the board. ESPN doesn't have them in the top 10, but yet On3 has them like number 4, I think. But
I would trust On3 more than ESPN.
Yeah, I don't care. It doesn't matter. The point is, none of those rankings mean jack squat anyway. But just talk about where Leavitt fits in with who they signed so far and what you like about this class so far.
What I like about this class so far is Lane Kiffin is bringing in playmakers galore. He has retained, and I think the retention is really the most important part. If you look at some of the guys, Braylon Moore was announced yesterday to be staying. Harlem Berry's obviously staying. Trey Green. I think those guys, DJ Pickett, those guys were key. Whit Weeks. I mean, and the one area that I really like is the defensive line. You have to have, Miami shows this. They are the epitome. Miami loaded up on the defensive line, and look where it's gotten them. LSU needs to be better on the defensive line. I thought guys like Jack Pyburn would have had a bigger impact last year. But I think they're bringing in so many bodies. Same with receiver. I mentioned those two positions to you last night. The defensive line and the wide receiver rooms are going to be absolutely stacked. So even if you miss on one or two guys, you've got so many bodies in there that someone is going to step up.
All right, and this is through NOLA.com, the LSU insider group at NOLA.com. So far, the Tigers have signed 27 players in the portal, according to NOLA.com. Stop me when you want to talk about a particular one, because there are some interesting ones in here. Roman Mothershed, a wide receiver, 25 catches for 259 yards as a sophomore. Darren Stray, who is 6'7", 305 offensive lineman, only played in 4 games as a freshman. He was a 4-star recruit from 2025. And he followed new LSU offensive line coach Eric Wolford from Kentucky.
Yeah.
Okay, so 6'7", 305. I mean, wow. Winston Watkins is the first guy that came over from Ole Miss. There was a lot of talk about him yesterday. That's an exciting move. You thought maybe Lane Kiffin would get more players from Ole Miss, and maybe he will. But this is the first one that came over. 26 catches for 373 yards as a freshman. Does he excite you?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much explosiveness. I think Trey Wilson would probably be the receiver I'm most excited about. Just because, Florida's kind of like LSU in the regard of they really pump out wide receivers, and if you've seen him play, he's pretty explosive. So I really like the explosiveness. 239 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns, but he's had multiple injuries the last 2 years. He's got 2 more seasons of eligibility. He's gonna have to stay healthy. Wilson is going back to him. Let's see. Achilles Woods, a DE, 3-star recruit from 2024. Tyree Holloway, another receiver. They're gonna have wide receivers galore, by the way. I think they have 9 wide receivers currently.
That's crazy. 34 catches for 661 yards, 8 touchdowns in his redshirt sophomore year at West Florida. And before that, he played at some Division II school I never heard of. A 6-foot receiver. Interesting. Let's see. We got Traylon James, a DB who played at Southern, a redshirt sophomore, had 39 total tackles, 6 pass breakups. He has 2 years of eligibility to remain. Another receiver, Josh Jackson, who spent last year at McNeese, St. Aug grad, 20 catches last year for 258 yards. Another wide receiver, Illinois product, Malik Elzy. So, I mean, you're just going down here. Man, it's just all kinds of wide receivers. You talk about the playmakers. It's going to be kind of like, let's throw all these guys out there and see who sticks.
Exactly. And that's what you have to do. I mean, if you look at LSU's receiver room last year, no one really stood out. I thought Aaron Anderson would have had a much bigger impact, but he's gone now. I mean, your wide receiver room got gutted, so you've got to add these guys. And I think they've added a receiver of every different archetype. So I'm excited to see who can come and ball out.
And you always talk about LSU being DBU, but really to me, it's been more of wide receiver U.
Well, it's funny you should mention that, because you asked me who I'm most excited for. One person to watch is Fahim Delane, who is the younger brother of Mansour Delane.
Yeah, okay.
He's a 4-star safety who signed with Ohio State, but he is now in the portal. He was set to start at Ohio State next year. So if that's one to watch, and if he can come play at LSU, I think he would be a nice addition to the defensive backfield.
Jordan Ross, who was a former 5-star recruit who was ranked as a top 25 player in the 2024 class. He was projected to be a starter at Tennessee next year. He's coming to LSU. All freshman SEC team. Jaquan Sprinkle, offensive lineman from North Carolina Central, has played in 27 games over the past 3 years at NC State. So a guy that's got experience, obviously at a smaller school. That's an HBCU school, isn't it? North Carolina Central. Yeah. So he's coming in to LSU, and I mean, a guy like that, you would expect if he's coming in with that kind of experience, he's probably likely going to have a edge up on being a starter. Coming over to LSU, Jaylen Brown. That's a solid defensive end signing there. And then they signed a kicker. Scott Starzik. I don't know anything about this kid. He made 14 to 18 field goals and all of his extra points, 2 of 3 on kicks over 50 yards, including a long 53. Finally, Damian Ramos is gone. I was never a huge Damian Ramos fan. I know
Damian Ramos.
He was okay.
Very good.
He was okay. You got a new punter.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Can we talk about how spoiled LSU's been with kickers since Cole Tracy?
Yeah, for sure.
Before Cole Tracy, the LSU kicking game was just so hit or miss.
And it was usually miss.
Yeah. The most useful thing they did most times was Les Miles trick plays.
Yeah, that's true. Scott Claymore says the lane train is rolling. I mean, you can't say it's not. They're certainly rolling right now.
Well, you tried to last night.
Look, I got to be honest. Some of these guys, let's just say some of these guys that names I'm calling out, I'm just calling them out.
I know.
I'm just going to go that far. I'm going to let it go at that. Let's see. Who else we got? We talked about Trey Wilson, Jace Brown, wide receiver from Kansas State. In 3 seasons at Kansas State, 115 catches for nearly 2,000 yards and 13 touchdowns. So he's a one-year wonder probably. But, man, you talking about experience, another experienced guy that comes in, and you would think that he would stick even if he's not a big starter. You know, if he's not one of the key starters, you would think that he's going to play a role in LSU's offense. Then running back Rod Gainey, we had talked about him before a little bit. Transfer from Charlotte. Last year, 74 carries for 260 yards and a touchdown, and some other guys we've talked about. Last week, we talked about Stephon Green. We talked about Ty Benefield, safety. So some other players that we talked about all in there. And look, again, depending on where you look, this could be an excellent class for a portal class and it's a shame that we're talking about portal. Portal class is more important than your actual signing class now. It's kind of I still can't get used to that.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the sticking point we talked about with Lane Kiffin to LSU. Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss used the transfer portal masterfully, and I think he's got to do that here as well. But the luxury that LSU brings is I don't know if you watched any of the I don't know what they call them, the high school all-star game tape on the 2 defensive linemen that LSU signed. My goodness, they're monsters.
No, I did not see that actually.
Yeah, no, the high school recruiting classes at LSU are going to be hugely important as well. So
yeah, and Apathy points out they're trying to keep Caden Durham too. It looked like he was going to leave, but now he actually may end up staying. So that would be a big deal if he could stay. All right. Anything else before we move on with LSU? And just, when you saw this news this morning, did it surprise you at all?
No, it didn't surprise me. To put this nicely, Lane Kiffin put his cojones on the table and his money where his mouth is. Flying. Can we just take a second to appreciate flying into Josh Heupel's city, where Sam Leavitt is currently visiting, where he's public enemy number 1 still years later, and taking the quarterback that they had on a visit.
Yeah, he put a picture on Instagram of welcome to the Knoxville airport.
Yeah, Knoxville Airport, very nice, by the way. I love that airport.
In a related note, I'm just saying that to put that up on Instagram, basically say, I'm here, F off. I mean, the dude's got it's not just cojones, he's a different kind of dude. So he'll be fun. I'm still very cautious about LSU's future, but I don't think there's any doubt he's going to make things more. He's definitely way more fun than the dude that was just here.
Brian Kelly would have never flown into enemy territory to get a quarterback. Never.
Brian Kelly don't. There's lots of things Brian Kelly. There's lots of things Brian Kelly wouldn't do, but that's a whole different story. All right, I will bring you on at the end of the show here. Probably spend about 10 or 15 minutes talking Saints, and then we'll go over NFL playoffs. And again, you can't. Again, I don't want to take any thunder out, but I get tired of hearing greatest wild card. I went back and actually looked at my title slide from last year, the same weekend, and obviously the news was the Saints coaching search at the time. So that was like the headline of the title slide. But in the bottom corner, in fact, I'm going to throw this up. I'm not going to throw up. I'm fine. I'm going to put this on the screen where it says breaking Leavitt LSU last year. Last year, that was basically where I had the wild card weekend thing. And I said, and the thing was wildest weekend ever. So every year but the point is we basically told everybody it's going to be a crazy weekend, and it was. So
yeah, and it's been a lot of fun.
Looking forward to talking about it. So anyway, I will bring you back on and talk about that in a little bit.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right, Gabe Henderson, everybody. Look, you got to be excited about Sam Leavitt coming to LSU if you're an LSU fan. Now, if you're an Ole Miss fan or you just don't like LSU and you're an old school Tulane fan who still holds grudges and whatever else, and you don't like LSU, that's okay too. Then you're not as happy. But I'm telling you, this dude, to me, from the beginning, and I know there were talks of other potential quarterbacks and, maybe even Trinidad Chambliss if he got before. He obviously said if he got another year of eligibility, he was going to come to LSU, and then he didn't get the year of eligibility. But the kid from Washington and whoever else, to me, this was the guy that I thought would be the best fit for LSU. This is the one that I personally wanted to come to LSU from the get-go. And I said as much. And it worked out. And look, we'll see if it works out in the future. And, Apathy and other Dat family members obviously show concern about the foot injury and whether it will linger. And it doesn't appear like it will. And whether, and even if it does linger, I mean, it's not going to change. I don't think the way that Leavitt plays. Gabe's got something else to say, but
yeah, breaking news: Caden Durham is returning to LSU.
Oh, there you go.
CBS.
That's two breaking news on this show.
2 minutes ago. Open Twitter.
We thought that's two Mondays in a row. Last week we had Black Monday, and today we got breaking news. So there you go. Per Gabe Henderson from On 3, you said?
No, Matt
CBS.
Zenitz of CBS.
CBS. Caden Durham, we were just talking about it, is coming back to LSU. So that helps the running back room for sure. So, all right. Yes, thank you for that, Gabe. Good news there. Exciting news. So again, things are looking up and up and up and up. Mitch, I'm with you. Mitch Bergeron says the way it was dragging on with Leavitt, I thought he was going elsewhere. Glad he was wrong. See, I thought Leavitt was coming to LSU in the beginning and then all this other stuff. And I'm like, I don't know, man. It was getting a little scary there, a little dicey. So anyway, Leavitt coming to LSU. They've got their backup quarterback, Landen Clark. And also, again, breaking news this morning that Caden Durham is coming back to LSU. And we talked about the other ones that LSU has signed in the portal. Now, 27. LSU has signed 27 players in the portal thus far, according to NOLA.com. 27. How many of them will stick? How many of them will start? Probably a lot of them are going to start, you would think. Lane Kiffin's going to put his stamp on this team. Going to have to completely revamp this. It will be, other than the running back room, it's going to be a completely different. It's kind of weird to say that. The running back room obviously was one of the areas that struggled a little bit, but yeah. I mean, it's going to be a different world. Gabe says Matt Moscona is reporting that LSU still tried it. Is that true? Why would they do that? Why would they? Okay. Supposedly, according to Matt Moscona, former 5-star quarterback Houston Longstreet, who was entered the portal, LSU, and that to me was the guy that if they didn't get Leavitt, I thought they would really focus on. And Gabe and I were talking about this last night. That Matt Moscona says they're still trying to bring him in. Okay. I mean, does someone like that want to come in and, I mean, look, one more time, Gabe, are you ready to come back? Come back on real quick. Why would someone like that want to come in to be a backup?
Because you're going to want to throw up when I say this. The allure of playing in Lane Kiffin's offense.
I get that, but
I mean, here's the thing with Landen Clark, he's a low risk, high reward player. He was playing at Elon. The opportunity to just be a backup at LSU must be phenomenal, and he could potentially transfer. But I mean, we were just talking about LSU had 0 quarterbacks going into yesterday. So adding a third is a great idea. And he's a guy that Kiffin and Co. recruited out of high school. So.
Yeah, well, he also has he's not draft eligible until after the 2027 season. So maybe that's another reason. But do you bring him in and I don't know. Maybe.
Depth. I mean, you were purely adding depth.
Well, I
right
get
now.
it, but I mean, I just don't know if a
rebuild this
quarterback
team.
like that who could start somewhere else is going to want to come to LSU and be it. Maybe. I mean, we'll see.
Maybe if you tell him he'll be the starter next year, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. All right. Thank you for coming back on. All right. Let's move on a little bit. And if you want to still talk LSU, feel free to put in something in the chat. But I want to move on a little bit, and I want to talk about the Saints for just a moment. Like, obviously, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the Saints, and we're going to wrap the show with NFL playoffs. We've got about 20 minutes left in the show. Whatever you want to talk about, feel free to bring it up. But I want to talk about Saints football. And you know what? Before we get to the Saints real quick, let me tell you more about Evangeline Securities and how they can help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. How do they do it, you ask? Thanks for asking. After their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanian Nick Braden and the folks at Evangeline, they'll begin an extensive auction process from among established private equity funds from around the whole wide world, and they will maximize the return for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. There are very few companies like them in this area, and none, 0.0, with their dedication and success. They are fully licensed. They're ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important, and it's not who the backup quarterback is at LSU. What is really important? Gabe, say it with me, even though you're in the green room. The rest of your life. You got it. You can find them at www.evangelisecurities.com. Chris Olave, the wide receiver that Saints fans or some Saints fans sometimes, not as much lately, sometimes love to hate. Second team All-Pro. How many in the history of the All-Pro awards? How many non-wide receiver ones do we think have made the second team All-Pro list? Not many. I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure you can go through, but who were the first team wide receivers? Okay, so there are only 6 players, 6 wide receivers. First, and if you combine the first team and second team wide receivers, there are 6 of them. So Chris Olave was named by NFL writers across the entire NFL landscape, not any particular, of all the wide receivers in the NFL. Chris Olave was named top 6 by the people that cover the NFL on a regular basis. Who were first team guys? Puka, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Jamar Chase. Second teamers, George Pickens, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Chris Olave. So, I mean, I'm not, look, I told you earlier, I hate when people say I told you so. I hate when people tell me I told you so. The difference is I'll tell you when I'm wrong, or at least when I think I'm wrong. I'm telling you right now, as the Saints go into this offseason, and one thing they're going to probably do, I would be surprised if they don't do, is get the deal done with Chris Olave. And when you see it, it's going to piss some people off. It's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 years, $130-ish million. And some people are going to lose their minds. Maybe it'll be 3 years, $100 million, somewhere along those lines. And he's going to be worth it. The biggest concern I have about Chris Olave is nothing else besides his health. But really, and I guess it's more with Olave than a lot of other players, but you could say that about almost every player. Puka Nacua, who is, I guess you can argue about anything, but I think Puka proved why he is the best receiver in the NFL. Injury concerns. You could say Jackson Smith-Njigba maybe. But let's call up Puka and how many games he's missed in his career, because obviously he's missed some. And, I mean, he's only been around for a few years now. Young guy. I really hate when they do it like this. Hold on as I do this live. I do this all the time live for you new people. Okay, but here we go. And I don't know the answer, so I'm just looking at this blind. Played all 17 games his first season. He played 11 games last year. He started 15 games this year, so he missed 2 games this year. The point is, injuries are concerned with every receiver. I mean, Jackson Smith-Njigba has been pretty darn solid so far. But, injuries would still be a concern, even with someone like that who is a super stud receiver who hasn't been hurt. And he's played, let's say, his first year. Well, he didn't start, and he only started 3 games, but that's because he was a rookie with, he had Lockett and brain fart. Lockett and Metcalf. They're playing at the same time, which is why he didn't start as much as after his rookie year. But then he's played in every game that he has been in the NFL. He has not missed a game, but due to injury. Jackson Smith-Njigba. Jamar Chase has missed games here and there for injuries. So that is my biggest concern about Chris Olave. It's not that he quote unquote drops the ball. We've already told you the stats. He doesn't even rank among of the top 25 receivers. He didn't even rank in the top 10 among drops. That what y'all perceive to be drops. Absolutely a wide receiver 1 on this football team. 100 receptions. He's the only Saint in history to have 100 catches, over 1,000 yards receiving, and 9 touchdowns. He was going to have 10 if he would have played that last game. There's no doubt in my mind. But he finished in the top 10 in the NFL in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. 100 catches, 1,163 yards, 9 touchdowns that he did in 16 games, not 17. And he stayed healthy, which is obviously one of the most important parts. Let's see. Apathy wants to know, will Kellen Moore pull the trigger for A.J. Brown if the price is right? I don't think so. I mean, I don't think there is going to be a right price anyway. I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't see him being traded like Gabe said. I mean, is it possible? Yeah. Look, I will tell you this. And people can say in the heat of battle and whatever, because that's what, that's what they're saying over there. And him and Coach Dumbass were arguing during the game or whatever. Oh, the heat of the battle. Yeah, I don't care. But they're not going to. I don't think they're going to trade him. You can't trade a guy like you don't want to trade a guy like that, and the cost is going to be too high anyway. I don't think the Saints are in a position to go out and get that kind of receiver. So the answer is, I doubt it. Wouldn't shock me, I guess. Lance says he wouldn't want to give up anything for Brown. Draft Chris Bell. I mean, they are going to draft a wide receiver. I just don't want it to be in the first round. Randall, here we go. Chris Olave is a great number 2. He's not a number 2. He's a number 1. Mickey Loomis loves to pay players as if they're ones. He is a 1. I just told you why he's a 1. If you don't think at this point, okay, at this point in time, if you don't think Chris Olave is a wide receiver 1, then you're simply a hater or a moron, and you can pick which one you want to be. There's no other answer. If you don't think Chris Olave is a wide receiver 1, you're a hater or a moron. Period. Second team All-Pro. That's wide receiver 1. He's one of the best top receivers, the top 6 receivers in the NFL, according to the people who cover the NFL on a regular basis. That's it. That's all I need to know. There's bias in New Orleans because, he didn't make this catch or he didn't make that catch. You know what? You could go through and look at every single target for Justin Jefferson or Jackson Smith-Njigba or Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams or A.J. Brown. Look at A.J. Brown yesterday. A.J. Brown yesterday was a dog. He didn't show up yesterday. He was terrible. He alligator-armed a ball. Why do you think Sirianni was pissed off at him yesterday? Oh, but some people are wanting A.J. Brown right now. You think he's a wide receiver 1, don't you? Why do you think Sirianni was pissed off at A.J. Brown yesterday? Because he alligator-armed at least 2 balls yesterday. It's the playoffs, man. Chris Olave bust his ass. He bust his ass after 4 concussions. The dude still wants to play football. And I thought it was incredible this past year. but he dropped this ball. You can go through every single receiver in the NFL and look at all of their all 140 of their targets or whatever they were. How many targets do we think Puka had this year? Let's look it up. He was targeted 166 times. He caught 129 balls, 1,715 yards. No question, all pro numbers. But I guarantee you can go look through 166 Puka Nacua targets and say what you think is a drop pass and call it a drop pass. And it's not. And I know I see that people don't want to hear this. I don't give a shit if you don't want to hear it or not. It's true. You're wrong. If you don't think Chris Olave is a wide receiver one, hater or moron, you're flat out wrong. No other thing. There's nothing else. There's no other option. One Smoke thinks we should go with the Romeo Dobbs to pair with Olave and Vele. Is Dobbs available? I didn't know he was going to be a free agent after this year, but I love Romeo Dobbs. Jerry Lee. No player is worth $30 million a year. Whether that's true or isn't true, guess what? That's the going rate for a wide receiver one. Say it over and over again. Just because you don't think somebody's worth that much, maybe I don't think it's somebody. I got to be honest. I don't think Drew Brees was worth what they paid him. That's right. Blasphemy. I said it here on the air. I don't think anybody's worth what some of these guys are getting paid. However, if I go to the greatest steak restaurant that's ever been created, okay, and I walk in a restaurant and I get a menu and I love steak more than anything, and I get a menu put in front of me, and it cost $220 for a filet mignon, for 6 ounces of filet mignon. And I say, you know what? Caution to the wind. F it. I'm only here once. Order it. And I eat it, and it's the greatest steak I've ever eaten in my life. I can tell you right now, there ain't a steak on planet Earth that's worth $220 in my opinion. However, that doesn't mean I'm not going to pay it. If I want to try it and got to know what it's like, and that's what I want, and that's what I need in my life at that moment, I'm only here. If you want the Saints to win, whether he's worth $30 million, nobody's worth $30 million, in my opinion, to play football a year. But that's the going rate. You can't, if you say he's not worth that, then then no one else that's going to be a free agent as a wide receiver is worth that. It's my opinion. Scott Claymont says Olave's a one. He came through with Joe Schmo and other wide receiver spots. Everyone knew he was the wide. Think about that, what Scott just said. The last 4 games that he played, besides Juwan Johnson, he was the only legitimate target. And he still threw to him, and he still caught balls, and he still scored touchdowns, and he still had 100+ yards receiving, and he still did it over and over and over again with no one else. Period. I'm not just calling out Randall. Randall, you're the one that put the comment up, so it may look like I'm calling you out, but I'm not. I wanted to show that because you and a lot of other people think that way. And and I'm going to tell you this again, why people still hate on Chris Olave. It's simple. It's a simple explanation why people still hate on Chris Olave. There's a window between Sean Payton / Drew Brees and today. Okay. Everything that happened in the Dennis Allen window, including the guy that Lance Dobard hates me to even think about, much less mention, Derek Carr. Dennis Allen, Derek Carr, and anything that had to do with that in-between period of crappiness, automatically hate him. Don't like him. Some Saints fans, doesn't matter if they're good or not. Doesn't matter. If they're associated with those people, don't like them, don't want them, nothing to do with them. And that's where Chris Olave fits in. Everything he does that's bad is multiplied by 10 because he's from that period. And I say that in caps or in italics or whatever else you want. Every mistake he has, every single mistake that Chris Olave makes is exacerbated by the contempt that so many Saints fans have for him. As Gabe points out, Puka Nacua had only One. Count them one. Can you count the one? Puka Nacua had only one fewer drop than Chris Olave. You think Puka Nacua is a wide receiver one? There's no question about it. There's no question about it. And so, to me, that's just what you're going forward. And look, Lance says he doesn't want to pay any wide receiver when a draft is. You have to. You have to. You have to pay. You don't break the bank. You have to pay going rates for whatever positions are. You can't go into next season without a wide receiver one. You just can't. Go get one in the draft. BS. Okay? You spend the money on Olave because you have to. That's what wide receiver ones cost. And it's I'm telling you, when the number, it's going to happen. First of all, it doesn't matter what we think. It's going to happen. I'm like 85% sure that they're going to sign Chris Olave before opening day, whenever it might be, whether it happens next week or it happens in April or it happens in June or it gets done in training camp or whether it gets done before September, whatever the hell it is. I would be very surprised if Chris Olave doesn't get a deal similar to what I just told you, and it doesn't happen before opening day. That's what I would be. So whenever that happens, whenever the next Dattitude podcast is after that, we're going to have, I think at this point, it would have been 70-30 hate before like a month and a half ago. Now it'll probably be like 60-40 like. But people see that number, and it's the same reason when I tell you that so-and-so would go for whatever. What do you think Alvin Kamara, if the Saints were going to trade Alvin Kamara, what do you think they would get for him? And the answer is, unless they were willing to eat his salary and take it all on their own salary, almost nothing. Because fans don't understand values. They don't understand draft values, and they don't understand salary values. Go look around. What do you think Saquon Barkley's worth? Well, clearly, if Chris Olave is worth $30 million a year or $28 million a year, then Saquon Barkley has got to be worth 28, or he's got to be worth 35 million or more, right? Because he's Saquon Barkley. But no. Let me call it up as I do this live. Saquon Barkley's contract, and I don't know. Again, I'm just calling this up by looking at it. Saquon Barkley last year made, including with his signing bonus, this is a little strange. His average salary, okay, let's put it this way. He signed a 2-year, $41.2 million contract. His average salary, $20.6 million. There's no question that Saquon Barkley is the number one running back or the number one target. Derrick Henry's phenomenal, Hall of Fame, stud. I'm not saying that you'd rather have Saquon Barkley, but Derrick Henry's 31 years old. Saquon Barkley, $20.6 million. But yet you can go find 20 receivers that are making more than that. And another 15 that are probably going to make more than that. Because wide receivers and running backs are thought about differently, and that's what their values are. Whether you think it should be. So that's my point. You just don't understand what the values are. Like Kyle Sherman says, Shuck needs. I need you on that wall. Shuck needs Olave at wide receiver one. Pay him. You got to do it. You might not like it. Kyle Sherman's predictions for 2026, wide receiver one, Olave, Vele 2. And look, the numbers are semantics anyway. Jalen Polk 3, Trey Palmer 4. You see, in that part, this is just absurd. Every player shouldn't be paid more than $1 million a year and have them. Then you know what? Let's take money from the owners too. The owners are making. Gail Benson has a football team that's worth, and I'm guessing here. Gabe, you can tell me if I'm way off or not. I'm guessing the New Orleans Saints are worth somewhere in the vicinity of $5 billion. Somewhere around that. And you're telling me 52 players, none of them should make more than $1 million? Get out of here, man. Be quiet. Come on. That's absurd. 5.3. I was close. 5.3. The Saints are worth $5.3 billion. And you're saying no player should make more than $1 million a year? Get out of here. Daryl. Yeah, I know. Daryl told me he was right about Leavitt. He told me that I told Jim Derry was right about Leavitt. I told you. You're messing with me with that. I told you. And I mean, I'm going through the reason why people don't. He had concussions. I don't want to pay that money for a guy who had concussions. Every wide receiver, every player in the NFL, it's an injury concern. 100%. 100%. GM Mickey Loomis, the GOAT, obviously a parody account on YouTube, says, I lost my mind regarding the Drew Brees pay. He would have fled if he wasn't paid. Well, back then, genius. You know why I didn't want him to pay that much? And I still, to this day, think they paid him too much 10 years ago, or no longer than 10 years ago. It's 2015 when I said that. I'm glad you were watching me way back then, Jimmy. GM Mickey Loomis, the GOAT. Why was I upset that they paid Drew? Again, I'm going down a rabbit hole that I don't need to go down. And I see that I'm losing viewers, but I don't care. We're going to talk about this. Because at the time they gave Drew Brees, it literally added up to 1/4 of the entire salary cap for the New Orleans Saints, while Tom Brady at the same time was taking a discount because he wanted to sign. He wanted the Patriots to sign better offensive linemen, which they did. So I don't change my opinion about that to this day. Was that the going rate though? That was the going rate for a top 3 quarterback. They had to pay him that, or they weren't going to keep him. So the options at that time, and I didn't say don't sign him. I'm just telling him. I'm telling you why I didn't think it was a great idea, because the Saints obviously needed more. And what happened? The Saints had 3 7-9 seasons in a row. That's a fact. When they signed Drew Brees back in the day to 1/4 of the Saints salary cap, they had 3 7-9 seasons in a row. So you may love Drew Brees. Obviously, everyone does. And I did too, obviously. Duh. But today's salary cap, you're talking about a guy who's going to make about, what's a wide receiver one make? He makes about 10% of your salary cap. 1/10. Meanwhile, you already have a quarterback who's making $10.8 million over 4 years. So between your quarterback and your wide receiver one, you're going to pay them a combined $30 million. I'm completely fine with that. If you're going to pay your QB one and your wide receiver one a combined $30 million, I think you're getting a steal. That's my opinion. Scott Claymore is blaming Derek Carr for Olave's concussions. And you know what? I'm not blaming Derek Carr, but because that'd be silly. But who did he get his concussions with? And he got them all at the same time. All in the same year. Or all but one in the same year, I think. Ryan says you have to pay a wide receiver now while Shuck is still. Exactly. That's my point. Exactly 100%. While Shuck is still on the rookie deal. He's still got 3 more years of the rookie deal. Now, they'll probably, if Shuck ends up turning out to be what you think Shuck is, he'll probably play 2 more years on this deal. And then that 4th year, you're going to redo the contract. I mean, because you're kind of going to have to. Scott also wants to know, what do I think you'd have to pay Cam to return? Cam Jordan. I'm completely guessing. I believe he would take a hometown discount, where I don't know if DeMario Davis would. I'm completely guessing. I'd say 7 or 8. Lance says 10. I don't think it's going to be that much. What else? A-Town. He thinks it's blasphemy. what UBN makes on this channel. Me too. David Herman says players are worth whatever a team is willing to pay. I mean, you know what? I can't say you're wrong. I mean, that would mean I was wrong about Drew Brees and right about Chris Olave, whatever he gets. We'll see. I don't know. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about that this morning. And I wasn't doing it just to start controversy or put the Dat in Dattitude. I go back to this because I want fans to be, I'm not telling you need to think like me, okay? I'm not telling you need to even change your opinion, but you need to be open to the fact that some players are just better than you think they are, okay? And that some contracts that you think are ridiculous, and maybe some of them are, but some of the contracts that you think are ridiculous, if that's what they're going right, if you put them in order and ranking, and what does Chris Olave get compared to other stud receivers? If it's not a top 5 contract, which it might not be. I mean, if you look at the wide receiver, you put them all together, he might not make top 5 money. But I think you're getting a steal. Rocky says Demario Davis may return for $5 to $8 million. Maybe, I don't know. You're talking about a guy who had his career high in tackles 2 years in a row. Darrell Hayden, Danny Abramowitz was second team All-Pro. Yeah, that's how far you had to go back. 71 to 74. I mean, I don't know what salaries for wide receivers were 52 years ago. Darrell, I'm sure not over a couple $100,000 a year. In fact, probably maybe not even $100,000 a year. You got to put everything in a context, okay? And so let's not be unrealistic. Let's just not be unrealistic about what players are quote unquote worth, or whether somebody has got the label wide receiver 1 or RB1 or left, whatever, 1. Lance says $30 million per for 4 years of the team option. Linderbaum, $80 million for. They're going to sign a guard, whoever it is. I mean, we'll get there when we get there. We got to get through these playoffs. Speaking of playoffs, anyway, that's my spiel on that this morning. I thought it was important to talk about, and we'll see where it goes. All right. I got about 5 more minutes in the show, and, my headline, my title slide, which was about the NFL wild, wacky weekend, and we're only going to end up giving it, well, we kind of interspersed it throughout. But it's only going to get about, 10 minutes or so here on the show as I bring Gabe back in. And the headline is, we told you it would be wild, and it absolutely was. And I don't know that you could say wildest ever. I mean, you could say whatever you want. No. I don't think it was the wildest ever. I think that the Saturday games were phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Obviously, yesterday, I thought the Jags-Bills game was fantastic. It was the best game of yesterday.
It was fantastically awful.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
There weren't. I was talking to my friend about it when we were watching it, and I was like, "This game's terrible, but it's also awesome. It's like intriguing. A car crash you can't look away from, because it was just a whole series of like little dink and dunk plays. Neither team was very explosive.
The coolest thing about look for someone who has not had a lot of break since since we started our run of being an independent on October the 31st. It has been a whirlwind for me. I've told y'all this many times, and I've not had a lot of days off. And so the wife probably didn't love it, but I parked my ass on the couch Saturday at 3:30. I made a pot of gumbo on Saturday. I was done with the gumbo by about end of the first quarter. So I would say actually from the end of the first quarter Saturday, besides sleeping Saturday night into Sunday, I parked my ass on the couch from basically 4:30 Sunday afternoon until last night, when I went to bed about halftime, but I watched the rest of the game in bed. So that's what it was for me. And I enjoyed every second of it, being able to watch football all weekend long. It was a whole lot of fun. And who knows, next week, we may have it again with some interesting games next weekend. But what was your favorite game of the weekend? And it's not over yet, by the way.
Packers Bears, probably. That game was so much fun. I could have told you that was going to be my favorite game when I saw the snow coming down at the beginning and I saw just the ruckus crowd in Chicago. I was like, yeah, this is going to be fun. And it lived up to the hype.
I think mine was Jags Bills was the most. You're right. It was kind of like who's going to get in the train wreck here. I guess the one that I probably enjoyed money wise the most was Niners Eagles because but then I had a weird hedge in the Rams Panthers. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff going on. So I ended up. I got lucky with some hedges this week. I did the hedges at exactly the right time to show you that hedging can pay off if you know what to do, if you know how to do it. And if you don't know what I mean by hedging, it's like when you bet on a team and then you get to a certain point and you're doing really like Packers Bears, for instance. I'll just use this as an example. Okay. So I bet on the Packers before the game. And at one point during the game, the Bears were plus 1,400 to win the ball game. And so I basically bet enough on the Bears at that point to make sure I was going to win the same amount of money no matter who won the game. It didn't make it. That's you can't beat that when you're like you only have to put out a little bit to do it. It's better than a payout almost every single time there's a way to do it. It's better than taking the payout. So which is what I did. And so in the grand scheme, I was rooting for the Packers just because I was rooting for the Packers. Money wise, it didn't make a difference, and I wanted us all three to be right. We ended up all three being wrong with our picks, which were atrocious, by the way. But
that's okay.
So yeah, money wise, it was a very good weekend. But game wise, I don't know. We kind of stunk up the joint. I think all of our Super Bowl picks are out the window already.
Mine aren't.
What did you pick?
I had Rams Patriots.
Rams Patriots. Okay. Well, if you look at the odds, that's actually still got a decent chance. And speaking of the odds now, as we go forward, Apathy says, by the way, he says, thought we're going to get a classic Dennis Allen choke there then when Jordan Love was driving the final minute. So did I. I kind of did too.
Okay, before we move on, did any of us, the inverse of that, did any of us think that Trevor Lawrence was going to put together a game-winning drive? I know I didn't.
No.
I didn't expect it to be a first play
would,
interception, but
yeah, no. It's just a shame. Interesting games next week. We'll talk about odds more on Wednesday's show. The odds are odd, by the way. Seattle's a big favorite over San Francisco. Denver is a very slight favorite over Buffalo.
Not what I saw. I saw Buffalo was 1.5.
Unless it changed in the last hour and a half.
Okay, it must have changed overnight because Buffalo opened as a 1.5.
No, not overnight.
Favorite.
This morning, as I went into the show, Denver was a 1.5 point favorite over Buffalo at DraftKings.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Buffalo opened up as a 1.5 point favorite.
Okay, well, this morning, Denver was a 1.5.
That's what I'm saying. It must have changed overnight.
The Rams are favored on the road. Again, I will look this up before Wednesday, and I will let you know when's the last time, if ever, a team has played 2 games at home as an underdog in the first 2 rounds. It's possible, but I don't know.
I tried to find it. I couldn't find anything on it.
And then Pittsburgh or Houston at New England, whoever wins that game tonight. All right, the odds have changed. It's interesting. Seahawks didn't play a game, but their odds went from plus 350 to plus 275. Rams at plus 310. Obviously, they went from plus 425. The Patriots jumped way up. Their odds there just plus 550. Bills obviously went way up. Whoever won that Jaguars-Bills game, they were going to be in 3 digits. Broncos, interestingly, stayed exactly the same, unlike the Seahawks, whose odds lowered. Texans haven't played, but their odds have lowered. Bears, actually, their numbers didn't. You might have. I don't like the Bears, but I actually may put a few bucks on the Bears. That way, if I'm wrong and they do win the Super Bowl, I don't have to just hear it. I'll at least be able to celebrate with my money. 49ers at plus 2,000 of value. And then, look, don't do what I did. I think I put $2 on the Steelers when they were 100 to 1 or whatever they were, just for a goof. Don't do what I did. Give $2 to charity or go buy yourself a pack of gum.
Put that $2 on the 49ers. Much better well spent there.
For sure. Charles, Bills will beat Denver. I hope not. And I don't even like Denver. That's my thing. I just what is Ryan saying? No shot to, we think.
The Trevor Lawrence thing.
Oh, okay. He said no shot to that.
No one thought.
Tom says the Saturday games were awesome. Seemed like the Rams tried to give the game away when they tried to go for it on fourth. Don't get me started. The fourth downs this weekend.
I think every time a team went for it on fourth and didn't get it,
I just
Jim would
stopped.
text us.
It's just even when they went for it, it was stupid. I mean, they were going for it.
The one that I'll defend is the Liam Cohen one with Trevor Lawrence where he stumbled. That's the one that I'll defend. I'm not sticking up for any of the
That
others.
one wasn't as bad because it was 4th and 2 at like the 18 or something.
No, they were at the 7.
Whatever the hell they were. They had a chance to go up by a full touchdown and didn't take it, and I think that ended up biting them in the ass in the grand scheme of things long run. However, I didn't have nearly as much a problem as that as I did some of the Saturday ones when they were doing it on their own side of the field. I'm like, you're just an effing idiot. And this is the new NFL, and it's really stupid. I'm sorry, it's just stupid. Brian Cavitt's here. Good morning. Anyone get a roof lately? I got a roof about 4 years ago. It is not cheap. I understand, Brian.
So I know you hate new era football analytics and all that. I do. Boy, do I have the
analytics part of it. I don't hate new era football. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate new era football, but the fact that all these and I hate the term maximize possessions. You're a moron. What you're doing is maximizing a chance for the other team to stick it up your ass. That's what you're maximizing.
Jim,
we're going to maximize the opportunity for fourth down football. I mean,
if you like punting the ball and settling for 3 points, tonight is the game for you.
It's not punting, and so sometimes that is the right thing. In fact, a lot of times,
I know, but you know what I'm saying. On fourth,
but yes, you're right. Tonight is definitely the game for you, for sure. Steelers and then so let's get into it. Texans. This line has not changed much, although the Texans are the square pick, which tells me that the money is probably fairly split, whereas the tickets are more on the Texans.
The Texans -3 is down to -105 on DraftKings, so money is moving in the Steelers' direction.
That's the big money that's moving that, most likely. Anyway, all right, I'm going to ask you, for people that didn't see the Friday show, do you have a bet on this game as we do every Monday night? This will actually the last Monday night it's the last Monday night NFL game of the year. The national championship game is on a Monday next week, but the last Monday night football game of the year. Do you have a play? Obviously I do, but do you have a play on this game?
I've now got 2 plays on this game.
Okay.
Number one, this is the play that I've said since this one opened, and I think you and I are pretty aligned on this one. Yep. Over 38.5.
Absolutely. I like that.
I think this total is too low. I think people are putting way too much stock into the offenses. Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. Texans,
I agree.
If they put up 20, they'll do most of the legwork there. I think this one's too low. I think people are expecting a low-scoring shootout. We got that last night.
Yeah, like everything, just everybody, like not everybody, like average NFL fans. What is your definition of a horrible game, by the way? I can watch a 13-10 game and think this is fantastic. I mean, just because a game is low scoring, and I think that's what a lot of fans say, if it's low scoring, it's terrible. If it's low scoring, it's a terrible game. It's not true. I've seen many 13-10 games that I thought were absolutely fantastic. So
I quite enjoyed the Sunday night game.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it too. I didn't think it was a bad game at all. So anyway, one of your plays is over 38.5. I like that. I don't know if I'm gonna play it or not, but I absolutely like it. And if I were to take the over, the under, 100% I'm taking the over. What's your other play?
My other play, Jim, I've had to listen to Steelers fans all week. Have you seen the bullshit made up stat about CJ Stroud going around this week?
No, I have not.
Steelers fans are saying that CJ Stroud has never won in weather under 40 degrees. And they're like,
I hate those stupid stats, by the way.
And here's the thing. It is factually incorrect because when the Texans went into Kansas City a couple weeks ago, it was 27 degrees.
Okay.
And they won.
Of course,
so my other pick.
Didn't they play Minshew or somebody really bad like that? I'm not. No, you're right. It's factually incorrect. Oh, Mahomes.
That was
when Mahomes got hurt.
Chiefs.
That's when Mahomes got hurt.
Mahomes got hurt the game after that.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from
Chargers,
even if you say something that's factually incorrect no matter who played. But
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was Patrick Mahomes. So it was the full strength Chiefs. But
Yeah.
my pick for this game, I'm riding with Coleridge, Bernard, Stroud IV, and the Houston Texans to put. You ready for this? I brought props. Belt to ass, Jim. And I want them to retire.
I'm so sick of that stupid phrase.
Ayahuasca using douchebag that calls himself the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. Give me the Texans -3.
You see, and so that's an actual play, or are you just like you're like actually going to play that tonight?
As the weekend, I can't play it because I'm in Texas.
Oh, that's right.
But
I mean, when I say actual play, I don't mean you're going to.
I would actually play it. I think now that you've lost the hook at some of the books, and I think I would even wait till tonight with Pittsburgh money coming in. If you can get the 2.5, I would absolutely play it. And here's why I'm playing it. I've thought about it. The Texans overall, they're getting healthy on defense, and I don't think Pittsburgh has enough to keep up with the Texans. So, and Texans, not to mention, if they score 20 points in a game, they are undefeated this season. So 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals. That's all they need.
Speaking of, in my mind, stats that don't mean shit. If this team scores this amount, that's just, unless that's just too small of a sample size. What is it, like 5 games, 6 games when they score that
10
many?
games. I think they've had 10 games over
that could be semi significant. I've made my pick clear. I mean, it's one of my best. It's the last remaining best bet among us all that is still open, and I don't feel any differently today than I felt a few days ago. And I've got the Steelers +3 over the Texans. It would not surprise me if the Texans won this game. It wouldn't surprise me at all. In fact, I mean, they're favored for a reason. I think the world of the Texans defense. I think the world of their coach. I think the world of their quarterback. I don't like Aaron Rodgers. Although I love Mike Tomlin. I'm obviously been a Mike Tomlin lover for a long time. I think this is Steelers at home. That's a weird number. It's more of a number play than it is to me a betting on the Steelers play, and I think the Steelers getting 3 at home in the playoffs is simply kind of silly. And the fact that we have said this before, the Texans have never won a road playoff game. However, Josh Allen never won a road playoff game either, and he did that yesterday. So those stats also are a little bit overdone.
Yeah, you've got stats on both sides. I mean, Mike Tomlin's lost his last 9 playoff games or something like that.
I mean, those stats are overdone a little bit.
Yeah, the reason that I ultimately landed on the Texans, I kind of looked at this as if you take the logos away from each team, who is the better team? And I think the Texans are the much better. I don't
necessarily think the
Steelers are great.
Yeah, I don't necessarily.
They are a product of a weak division. So, but on the flip side,
but this game
you're
saying that this game on a neutral field would be Texans -5, and I think that's a little much. I think the Texans are a better team too, but do I think they're 5 points better than the Steelers? I don't think they are. I mean, you could make an argument. Again, DK Metcalf coming back is a big deal. Big deal as well. Brian wants to know, is it going to snow in Pittsburgh? Nope, it is not. It's going to be perfect weather tonight. Temperature's actually nice for Pittsburgh this time of year, like 35 to 40. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of wind, so I don't think weather's going to play a factor at this at all. Tedder's glad you're here. Better late than never. Lance, this is just not correct. Only way Pittsburgh wins if CJ throws 3 picks.
Not necessarily.
I don't think that's correct.
Aaron Rodgers could turn back the clock. I mean, even though I do have Texans -3 or -2.5 if it gets to that as my best bet, I'm not, and I've said this, I'm not as confident as everyone else has been toward this game. I know better than anyone else the history of this team in the playoffs. So
defense travels.
They do.
So does Aaron Rodgers. I mean,
hopefully not anymore. Hopefully,
you're screwed.
I would love for what happened to Justin Herbert.
You are absolutely screwed now, pal. Randall's got the Texans in the AFC Championship game. You are screwed.
Never made one before, but it'd be nice to start this year.
It's possible.
I would
actually. Then that's not a terrible number on the Texans, because if they do win this game, they're going to go to probably 800. Is my guess. So if you think the Texans are going to win this game, it's not a terrible number on them to win the Super Bowl. Because again, there's only one team on this list that I think has no chance to win the Super Bowl, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I do think the Steelers win this game and then go to New England next week and get their ass waxed. That's my plan.
I think the Texans would give the Patriots a much better game than.
Oh, there's no question. There's no question that's true.
I actually think there's a chance the Texans could win in New England, but just me.
I mean, look, I just told you, I don't think there's any team with the Steelers that is, you can't say 0.0 win the Super Bowl. So absolutely, I think they could. Do I think they will? No, but it's certainly possible. But anyway, Wednesday we'll be talking about all the games for next weekend coming up. The divisional round is my bittersweetly favorite round of the NFL playoffs, because you got 2 on Saturday and you got 2 on Sunday, and it's obviously, I mean, it's the best 8 teams in football. I'll play in. It's not like this past weekend, which was a great weekend. Don't get me wrong. I love 6 games. 6 is better than 4, but next weekend's my favorite weekend, and I'm looking forward to it. We will talk about it Wednesday, and I will see you then. If I can get my phone to stop ringing on live TV. I will see you Wednesday.
Cool.
All right, everybody. That is just about it for us on this Mono E Monday. It was a little different show. We had breaking news this morning. If you missed it, obviously you can go back and watch the show. We spent a lot of time this morning talking about Sam Leavitt headed to LSU. The breaking news that came out about 45 minutes before we went on the air. And oh my goodness, I guess they don't get it. Sorry, y'all. They decided to call right when we're going to go off the air. So anyway, that was our breaking news. We talked a little bit about the Saints. If you want to go back and watch, we probably spent the first 50 minutes to an hour talking about Sam Leavitt, talking about LSU, talking about the number of players they've had in the portal. 27 is the number on NOLA.com, and the number that I've seen. We spent some time talking about the Saints and Chris Olave being a second team All-Pro. If you joined us later, you've been in and out, you can go back and catch that. And then obviously we spent probably 20, thought it was going to be 10 minutes, it was more like 20, 25 minutes talking about the NFL's wild weekend, what our thoughts for tonight's game are, some of the odds for futures, and all those good things. We had lots of things to talk about this morning. I didn't even mention this. Obviously, Alex Bregman going to the Cubs. I have mixed feelings about it. I'm happy, but at the same time, that's a lot. I didn't realize his stats weren't as great as I thought they were. Don't get me wrong. You get a presence like Alex Bregman in your locker room, it means more than just the stats. So don't get me, and I don't want to sound ungrateful, because I am happy that I wanted him to sign Alex Bregman. It's exciting. It shows that that the Cubs are, and their cheap-ass owners are willing to spend the money they need to spend. They went out and made a trade last week. Their pitching rotation is going to be, I think, pretty good this week. Ryan was surprised he went to the Cubs. A lot of people were. Thought the Red Sox were gonna sign him back. So, and I love Alex Bregman. I'm a huge Alex Bregman fan. But when you look, you want to talk about contracts and how much people are making. $175 million for 5 years. For a guy that's generally averages about 22 homers, 75 RBIs, and hits 270 for his career, and is taking over third base when they have a up and coming third baseman that who may end up moving, is now going to be a utility guy in Matt Shaw, and is probably going to play some second. And the word is that when Nico leaves, that he's going to go play second base. But I don't know, man. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And now they traded away their top young prospect, offensive prospect. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, you can't be upset about it, but you can at the same time say, we'll see how that works out. All right. Coming up on Wednesday, as I told you, Doug Mouton will be here with us on Wednesday. We're excited about that. Wednesday live at 11 a.m. Doug Mouton will be with us, and I think Zach's going to come on through January on Fridays. I have not confirmed that yet, so Zach and the Pick'em crew will be back here on Friday. So I think we've got 3 more Zach Fridays, if I'm correct. Maybe 4 more. I don't know what we're going to do, and then maybe we'll just have I don't know what we're going to do. But that's going forward. But we hope you all can join us then. If you have not already done so, please subscribe to the Dattitude YouTube page. When we're on weird days, if you subscribe to the Dattitude YouTube page and you click the little bell, you'll always know when we go on the air live. You'll also have first access to our shorts page. We told you, and I am convinced that this is going to happen by the end of the week. We will have memberships available. I have not finalized that price yet, but it's going to be $15 or less, and it's probably going to be less per month. Okay. So all the people that want to donate to the Dattitude podcast, we absolutely appreciate it. Brian, hit that like button. Absolutely. Hit the like button. Even if you're watching on Facebook, we thank you so much. But again, if you want to be a member of the Dattitude family, like a legit, we're still figuring out, and we're going to put together a Slack channel, which Gabe asked me to do last week, and I still haven't done, but we're going to do that this week. So anyway, more coming up on that, hopefully by Wednesday. If not, certainly by Friday. I'm doing freelance every night this week. So we'll doing my best to put it together, but we also got to do some things on the side. But I thank all of you for being a part of this. Today's guest, Gabe, spent a lot more time on the air today than usual. I thank him for that. Obviously, you, the Dattitude family, on this Monday. On Wednesday, we're going to talk Saints. We're going to talk NFL playoffs. We're going to talk college football championship. Maybe we'll sprinkle in a little bit of Pels and whatever else comes up. It's hurting my heart to see what these Pelicans are doing, man. I mean, even last night, again, up by 10 in the fourth quarter, or double digits in the fourth quarter, and they choked it away. Come on, man. So many changes. I'll ask Doug what he thinks about that. And if you want to just listen to the pod, you can do that too. You can find us all major podcast platforms. We're there, including Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and many more. We hope your week has started out fantastically. We're glad you were here with us again on a Monday. We will see you all on Wednesday. Take it easy, my friends.